Hello, my name is Nadeem Siddiqui, and I'm going to talk about the data catalog component and how it can help us with our use case around modernization. But before getting to that, let's start by understanding the data catalog a little better. You would have seen this slide before. It talks about the various product offerings within Urban Quest portfolio and also emphasizes on the different components which are part of the data intelligence suite, primarily the data catalog and the data literacy component. As I said earlier, today's focus will be on the data catalog component. The Urban Data Catalog has three major offerings within it: metadata management, reference data management, as well as lifecycle management. We can talk about reference data and lifecycle in a later session, but today's emphasis is again on the core competency, which is the metadata management. Metadata management constitutes of three major modules: Resource Manager, the administrative module that lets you create users, roles, manage permissions and privileges; Metadata Manager, which is the centralized repository to manage, maintain, and enrich all your metadata; and finally, the Mapping Manager, which understands the flow of information in your landscape and generates automatic lineage and impact analysis reports. These impact analysis reports are going to help us majorly in a modernization use case. You're now looking at the landing page of the data intelligence solution. Let's navigate to the data catalog component using this application tile. The data catalog component, as we discussed, has the metadata management, and within metadata management, the three major modules that we discussed, the resource manager, the metadata manager, the mapping manager, are all available for us. Let's look at the metadata management module so that we get to see all our metadata managed and maintained at a centralized repository. We've discussed that the metadata manager is a centralized repository for us to be able to manage, maintain, and enrich all our metadata. So you can see over here that we have metadata coming in from flat files, from dashboards, from lakes, maps, models, warehouses as well. There is a clearly defined hierarchy within the metadata manager. That is systems at the top, environments within systems, which are actually databases, tables within environments, which is tables is part of those databases, and within those tables we have our columns. So this is the clearly defined 4-level hierarchy that we have in the metadata manager. At the database or environment level, as we call it, we have a data dictionary available. Using this data dictionary view, users can search for their desired tables and look at all the columns that are part of that table. Now for those columns, if there are data quality scores, impact scores, logical column names, comments, definitions, even sensitive data indicators available, all that information is available at the user's disposal through the data dictionary. Now let me remind you that we discussed that the metadata manager acts as a centralized repository for you to manage, maintain, and enrich your metadata. And the mapping manager understands how data flows within your landscape and generates those lineage and impact analysis reports. Now, since interoperability exists between the solution, we have those same lineage and impact analysis reports available for us in the metadata manager module as well. We know that the lineage reports help us understand the flow of information within a landscape, but it's really the impact analysis reports that help us understand the impact of change on any particular asset. And interestingly enough, these impact analysis reports are available to us across the hierarchy. That is, starting from the system level, at the environment or the database level, going down to the table level, and drilling down at the most granular, which is the column level, we have impact analysis reports available across the hierarchy. These reports provide both upstream and downstream impacts. And as we discussed, these impacts are provided across the hierarchy. So now let's take an example and understand that if a change were to be introduced at the database EDW prod, what could be the downstream impacts? So let's just click on this button which says downstream, and you can also see that from a statistical perspective, it's telling us that there are 8 impacts that have been identified. So let's click on this button. As soon as we click on this button, we can see the list of different environments available across different systems which will be impacted as part of a change if it were to be introduced at the EDW prod database. From here, we can see that if a change is made at the database EDW prod, it will impact another database or environment called Dataflow, which is part of an SSIS package. It will also impact a database which is on a Snowflake data source. It impacts an SAP environment, right? And all of these are downstream impacts. So this means that my EDW is being fed with information from all of these different sources. And if we were to make a change on this database, we will have to take into consideration the information coming from these data sources. In a very similar way, these reports can be generated at the table level as well as at the column level. And all of these reports across the hierarchy can be downloaded in the form of an Excel using this export button. So once you click on this button, it gives you the capability to download the very same impact analysis report in the form of an Excel. This was a quick discussion on the data catalog as well as a sneak peek into the modernization use case using impact analysis reports. If anyone has any questions around how these reports are created, and let me give you a hint, these reports are created using our data connectors. Please reach out to us and we can arrange for a detailed discussion. Thank you for taking out the time, and I hope this session was useful.